On KPBS Midday Edition, we're connecting communities through conversations. You'll hear truth around the leading issues and the leading controversies with historical context, along with perspectives that keep you informed, inspired, and make you think. Listen to the Midday Edition podcast and wherever you get your podcasts.
Today, we're replaying one of our favorite episodes from season 1. It's a story about making a living in music, especially given the challenges of the streaming economy. We talked to a journalist who has literally written the book on Spotify. And we learned so much about streaming and Spotify in particular, how much it has changed music, not just for the people making it, but for us as listeners. And it all started with a pretty candid and vulnerable conversation with local musician Julianna Zachariou. After the episode aired, we made a quick Instagram reel from part of the interview where Julianna whipped out a calculator and told us exactly how much she made from a single song on Spotify. And that reel went viral, like over 1 million views. And in the comments, it launched some pretty intense debates about the streaming industry and the realities of being an artist. But the thing is, that reel is just a 90-second snippet out of the episode. It only scratches the surface of Julianna's experience and the larger context of the streaming industry. I mean, we love a little live math during an interview, but there is so much more to this story. Here it is.
So I'm out here just outside the KPBS studio on the San Diego State campus, asking mostly students. Hey guys, my name's Anthony. I work for KPBS. I'm a podcast producer. Can I ask you one question really fast? Okay. So imagine you are an artist, a musical artist, and you have a song on Spotify with 5 million plays.
Right.
That's a lot. Like, that song would be in the top 0.3% of songs on Spotify.
Yeah.
And so say you don't have a manager or a record label.
Yeah.
So you get all the royalties, like you get all the money that Spotify pays out for that song. How much money do you think you'd make off that song?
Okay, think about it a second. Come up with your own guess. Here's what people said.
500,000.
500,000?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Like 700,000?
Somewhere around $300,000 to $500,000.
5 million.
5 million?
Yeah.
It's like 50K.
Maybe like 80K.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe like 300,000.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my guess.
We'll reveal the answer soon, so stay tuned. But one minor spoiler, we crunched the numbers with a San Diego musician who's had that exact kind of hit. And the answer, not a lot.
Honestly, doing that math in front of you just makes me so angry and emotional. I think that's why I don't engage with it too often, because it's so heartbreaking. And I had the luck of getting one song into those numbers. It's really hard to get those numbers. It's the shooting star kind of thing.
Julianna Zachariou has been one of my favorite local artists for years. As a songwriter, she's able to capture this mix of anthemic melody and relatable, honest, and sometimes strange detail.
She still got salt in her old sneakers, just to remind her that she used to have adventures.
Today we'll hear her story, how she's persevered for over a decade as a musician. She's had a taste of breaking through, of making it in a big way, but the way the music industry works has shifted beneath her feet. And like most musicians today, she has to be scrappy to get by. Streaming is a huge part of her career. She has to think about it all the time. We'll dig deep into the world's leading streaming company, Spotify, with a journalist who's covered the company for nearly a decade, because Spotify has changed a lot in recent years. You may have noticed that using the app has recently started to feel more like TikTok, more algorithm-driven, fewer choices to make as a user. That's a calculated shift by Spotify, and it's impacting not just artists like Julianna, but also listeners like us. From KPBS Public Media, this is The Finest, a podcast about the people, art, and movements redefining culture in San Diego. I'm Julia Dixon Evans.
Hi, I'm Maya Trabulsi. Support like yours is what creates a movement. It's what ensures that facts stay louder than misinformation and that curiosity triumphs over indifference. Your gift isn't just a donation, it's momentum. Join our community of supporters at kpbs.org/donate. And thanks for being part of KPBS.
Can we start?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. What kind of music were you surrounded by growing up? Like, what did you discover when you were a young person?
It was pretty eclectic in my house. My dad kind of primarily listened to a lot of early funk stuff, like Commodores, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Mm-hmm.
But also my dad really liked Toto and it's just like white guy bands that are like really tight, like really, really like excellent studio musician white guy bands. That. And then my mom introduced some like Alison Krauss and Bonnie Raitt early on, and I did love them. And then my sister took me aside and she was like, no, do this. And then she introduced me to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin. She was really into The Who, a lot of that like classic rock era. And that blew my mind. And that was like 13, 14, 15. And she and I sort of found our own niche together.
Do you remember when you first decided to seriously set out to make music professionally?
Yeah. I mean, I made my first record when I was 14, and I made a second record at 16.
Mm-hmm.
I was selling it from my locker in high school, and it's not available online or anything, but it was pretty cool stuff at my high school.
In that moment, were you thinking big? Were you thinking like record labels, more?
I am ambitious. I always think big. The image I was working off of was like a Taylor Swift.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand like independent musicians. So like kind of the model I'm given is like, oh, I'm 16, I'm going to make this record and then I'm going to hit it big. And I also had a kind of semi-manager at the time, and he wanted to like pitch me to Disney and like, do that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about all of these ideas and kind of scaling up and stuff. So yes, like I would watch American Idol and be like, oh my God, maybe I could be Kelly Clarkson.
Mm-hmm. We know those Taylor Swift and Kelly Clarkson stories are exceedingly rare. Julianna didn't become a teenage star, but she kept getting better little by little. She eventually moved to Nashville for college to study songwriting. Just after graduating, she struck gold. She wrote Subway Song, that shooting star song with 5 million plays we mentioned earlier.
Subway Song and I have had a relationship. It came out in 2018, so that's, 7 years ago now. And it was back when the Spotify algorithm was more like true, mm-hmm. and really led by if people were just enjoying it, it would just sort of bloom. And I made that record while I was in New York. I was there for a off-Broadway gig, I was playing a live score, and it was the first time I got to do music full time for 6 weeks in Manhattan. It was like life-changing, really. I was so poor. The rate was crazy low. I wanted to do anything but scoop ice cream in Nashville. I just wanted to go. But I ended up meeting this brilliant writer, Josh Flowers, who is like a big collaborator with me now. And we fell in love with each other's catalogs. You know, we spent every waking moment together. And I wrote that song sort of based on all of our commuting that we had to do to and from the theater on the D train.
Braving smiles across the aisles past the suits and sighs.
And we just did a lot of that and a lot of late night train nights. And he'd be okay with me saying this. I did have like a big crush on him, like big time. Who wouldn't? He's super charming and really good at what he does. And he's really cute. And so I started kind of writing the song about him and kind of the romance of us training around Manhattan together, working, sharing coffees because we had no money, kind of stuff. And then he ended up helping me finish it. And he was the one who was like, wouldn't it be so funny if we had like dance moves in the chorus? And then we came up with the sway left, sway right, slow dancing in the middle of the subway.
Sway left, sway right, slow dancing in the middle of the subway.
And I had some perk time at a studio, which is just like a free studio day for working on my friend's music. And I literally wrote the song to have something to record that day. So it all happened in like a week. I was finishing it on the way to the studio. And then what is out on the internet is just a demo that I was going to come back and make again. And he did like this low pass filter thing on it and said, I think it's done. And then I just put it out, and of course it's the thing I spent like the least amount of time on in my life has done the best. I think it's just, you know, a lesson to me to not take things so seriously and also just be grateful. You never really know what's going to work.
Like, do you have an estimation of how much you've made off of that song? Just from streaming, just from Spotify?
Yes. Well, I could do a live estimation for you. 1 second.
Ooh. This is a math show.
This is a math show, which will require a calculator. Okay. And I'm the sole writer on most of my catalog, which means that I'm getting 100% of the pie.
And that's unusual.
That's unusual. Okay. I think I'm at like 5 million, right? Okay. So 5.123 or whatever times 0.003, which is what I'm getting. I've made $15,000 on it over 7 years.
15,000.
Yeah. Not great. Honestly, doing that math in front of you just makes me so angry and emotional. I think that's why I don't engage with it too often, because it's so heartbreaking. Like, we shouldn't be so desperate all the time. Like, we should be able to be comfortable enough to keep making the thing we can make and feel, you know, safe and taken care of, and like we can hire people for what they're worth. And it's just, I'm sick of being so savvy, you know, and like pinching so many pennies and being so scrappy. I'm like the scrappiest person because of it. Making a living would be, I have an idea and I can do it. Right now, I have an idea and I'm like, how can I make that 10 times smaller so I can do it?
We've talked about Spotify before, and it's hard to, right? We have to talk about it because it defines so much about music.
Spotify. Oh, Spotify. I can start with the thing that we're all meant to say, which is Spotify is open to, you know, anybody can upload music. Anybody can have an opportunity to gain an audience, but it hasn't really done the work to sustain independent artists, especially when you deserve it. I mean, I'm part of a union now. There's like a new musicians union happening, UMA, I think is how you say it. United Musicians and Allied Workers. And basically, all we're trying to do is get 1 cent per stream. And if we did that, I'd be able to make a living. I'm making now $300 a month. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good, all things considered. In my best playing days was during COVID, strangely enough. I had 100,000 listeners a month during that, which is the most I've ever had. I have like 30,000 right now. If during COVID, if I was receiving a cent per stream, I would have $30,000 a year in royalties to live off of, which is huge, which would have changed my life.
The numbers can be baffling. On the one hand, there's how much artists are getting paid per stream, and that number is not a constant. It varies based on complex factors and how many people are taking a piece of the pie. Then, on the other hand, there's the number of streams they get and how those numbers fluctuate, and that can be perplexing in its own way. Julianna made an album in 2022 called Hero of Your Heart. It's a total evolution in her songwriting and musicianship, the complexity and texture of the music, the nuance and detail in the lyrics. And within each song and the album as this whole work of art, she mixes sadness with a little hope. She invested $9,000 of her own money into it, which she scraped together by working at other artist shows selling merch, teaching for brief stints when she's not on tour, and saving whatever she makes from streaming by eating a lot of frozen peas and peanut butter sandwiches. She couldn't afford to hire musicians, so she played every instrument on the record herself. She poured everything into it. But still, for whatever reason, despite all that effort and accomplishment, the album didn't take off like her earlier hit, that demo she made in just one day. So after Subway Song, you have done such great work, but without as many plays. I mean, do you still look at it as like, it is a gift to have a song that stuck? Or is there some feeling of it being kind of like a letdown that you're not still reaching that? Is that something that you think about?
Oh, I mean, of course. I mean, on my bad days, I wake up and think, I've already done the best I can do. This is the most people I'll ever reach. And I'm just sort of sinking into anonymity. But on my better days, I'm grateful for it. I recognize that it was a different time. Spotify's kind of a monster now. There's no room for, if it's good enough, it'll find its way. It's just not a thing right now. So it's a trap to let metrics determine that you're doing something better or worse than you were in the past. And obviously I want my numbers to get better, but the tools we have to get that done, basically it's based on your finances. And if you're not making enough in the first place, you can't invest the money to get it, preferential treatment in the algorithm or whatever. So yeah, forget numbers. They're just, you can't let them get in your head.
Today, compared to 2018, when Subway Song came out, Julianna feels it's harder to get traction on Spotify without big marketing money. And as a listener, I agree that Spotify has changed in recent years. My main complaint is that Spotify got boring. I used to love the playlists and radio stations, but it feels like I'm not finding new stuff anymore. Now, the songs it serves to me are repetitive. So I called Liz Pelly, author of Mood Machine, The Rise of Spotify and the Costs of the Perfect Playlist. I wanted to see if Liz could explain my concerns and Julianna's.
What you're saying, I think, is something that is a common observation about the way that Spotify in particular has evolved in recent years, and something that I really tried to trace in looking at the way in which the company had evolved is in the early days of their algorithmic recommendation and personalization, they had like Pandora like radio stations that mostly relied on this algorithmic recommendation system called collaborative filtering, which is basically like, if you like music that's similar to me, it'll show me stuff that's in your library that I've never heard of before. And previously, the emphasis was really on the word discovery, showing you music that you hadn't listened to before. Their kind of first big success story in personalization and algorithmic recommendations was Discover Weekly, which was meant to be, this algorithmic mixtape every Monday of music that you never heard before. At a certain point, when you open Spotify, when you were looking through the browse page, it almost like became hard to even find the Discover tab, which had really taken a backseat to what they started calling Made for You. And I thought this was so interesting because in some ways, Discover and Made for You can kind of seem similar, but they're actually completely different.
So I was not imagining things. And Liz pointed out that this is really just Spotify doing what many tech companies are doing now, designing their products so that we, as users, don't have to make any decisions. A frictionless experience.
A lot of it seems to really have to do with the influence of TikTok, proving that there was almost sort of a consumer desire to have this extremely lean back experience where you just open the app and the interface is just kind of immediately showing you this hyper personalized feed of stuff that is based on your listening habits, that is, tailored directly to the kinds of stuff that you're interested in. But on Spotify, it seems like, what that has mostly meant is just that people are often being served back their music taste, or they're being served back what they already have listened to, much more tailored towards just engagement, retaining you on the platform, showing you stuff that you're, likely to hit play on and not hit skip on.
It does take some effort and curiosity to give a new artist a chance. However, it takes very little cognitive energy to listen to Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter for the 100th time.
Is it that sweet? I guess so.
And Spotify counts on that. They feed us those kinds of songs, which is bad for discovery, making it much harder for lesser-known artists like Julianna. That's one factor. But as she suspected, there's something else going on. Payola is the age-old practice of a record label or anyone else paying or bribing a radio station to play a particular song. In the U.S., it's illegal. But Liz's reporting has raised concerns that what Spotify is doing now is getting dangerously close to a kind of digital payola.
They're not exactly the same as payola, but Spotify refers to itself as a two-sided marketplace, where on one hand it says that it's selling a product to listeners, subscriptions, and on the other side it says that it's selling a product to artists, which is promotional opportunities. Spotify calls this marketplace. Marketplace is the side of the company where it sells things like banner ads, things like discovery mode, which is a part of the business model that asks artists to accept a lower royalty rate in exchange for algorithmic promotion.
And then there's Spotify's editorial side, which is basically playlists they curate themselves. These are hugely popular and can launch artists' careers. That's where things start to get murky. Liz told us that the lines between paid promotion and editorial decisions can start to blur, even if there's no official pay-for-play system.
Something that people who work at independent labels were starting to tell me is that when you both have the editorial ecosystem and this paid-for marketplace ecosystem happening at the same company, these conversations started to bleed into each other, where it's not like you have to buy the advertisements on Spotify in order to get editorial placements, but it starts to get looked at like, well, if you're not spending money on ads on this song, it can't possibly be that big of a priority for you. So, why should we promote this in our editorial ecosystem? So I think that what maybe in the past seemed more like a pure editorial ecosystem has started to be impacted by these other conversations that also happen between the labels and the marketing teams in the realm of marketplace.
We reached out to Spotify to run some of the ideas in Liz's book past them. Overall, they said the book contains, quote, inaccuracies and misinformation throughout. Specifically, they told us that their editorial team operates entirely separate from Marketplace and strongly disputes the comparison between Discovery Mode and Payola. Spotify claimed it's a transparent system, and those songs still need to perform well with listeners to take off. One thing they can't dispute is that on Spotify, the top artists rake in an enormous portion of the streams and income. A Rolling Stone report found that in 2020, the rapper DaBaby got more streams on his own than the bottom 90% of artists on the platform combined. And in a system where top artists dominate, it's easy to feel like money talks. In California, an artist needs over 700,000 streams per month to earn the equivalent of minimum wage from their streaming income. That's a lot. Even at her most successful period, that's still about 3 times as many as Julianna was getting. In this system, if you don't have big money, uploading a song to Spotify is kind of a roll of the dice.
It's really unpredictable, and that's totally unsustainable, like trying to have a career in music or any field shouldn't feel like playing the lottery, but often it does.
And for most independent musicians, you don't hit that jackpot. Relatively speaking, Julianna is actually doing pretty good. She said she earns about $300 a month. The bottom 97% of artists on Spotify average just $14 a month. Still, Liz is optimistic that UMA, the musicians union Julianna is a part of, could help reform Spotify's payout system. We know what the world loses when musicians can't afford to make art. But Liz writes about all kinds of other ways that the modern streaming system impacts our cultural landscape. There's more bland, short, inoffensive songs, just good enough to not be skipped. There's cheap stock music that's been rebranded under the name of fake artists, and Spotify can pay even lower royalties for that. But there's also a way in which it makes music more individual, less communal. It disconnects music from where it came from and reduces it to individual songs that basically just serve as background noise for your daily routine.
Hola friends, the Tijuana and San Diego borderlands are brimming with captivating stories of people whose lives are shaped by the connection between Mexico and the US. On the Port of Entry podcast, we delve into those stories. Listen to Port of Entry wherever you get your podcasts.
The first show I went to after COVID lockdowns was Julianna's at Soda Bar in City Heights. It was emotional, of course, the first time I'd been in a crowd in months. I went alone, but I felt so connected with that room full of strangers. It was such an overwhelming and unexpected intimacy. I approached the merch table that night and met Julianna, and I've followed her career closely ever since. I'd call her a friend. That show was basically the complete opposite of turning on an automated playlist where you listen somewhat absent-mindedly and know very little about most of the artists.
When you spend time with an artist and you spend time with a catalog and you hear their songs over and over again, it's hard not to love them. People in this community who I've gone to support and watch their live show around town over the years, you start to create a relationship with the music that they make and their stage persona and the kind of energy that they bring. I love to heckle my friends while they're in a positive way. And just like sing along and just feel them do the thing. And I don't know, I'm just so grateful that people are willing to spend the time to go out and do this over and over again on a small scale. You know, the glory isn't really there, but the community really is. Go find these people, spend some time with them.
Sway left, sway right, slow
Okay, a healthy music economy. What can consumers of music do to make an impact and bring that, anything close to that healthy music economy?
It's not their job. It's not their job. They're not the reason why we're struggling. It honestly pisses me off that I have to be like pleading with the community to like care. Obviously, go to shows, especially local shows, $10, $20 a ticket, that kind of level, that makes a huge difference. I don't know. The impetus really isn't on the listener. I was saying like people are trained to not value music, and I understand why you're asking that. But that's not their model that they created. That's a big business model that's been created. I mean, we need it to be codified. We need an actual streaming rate to be codified. And this is something that has happened that I learned about when I went to school for music. I had to take some music tech history, whatever. And most things the phonograph is created, and then people are bootlegging records, and then the law catches up and is like, hey, actually, copyrights exist. You can't do this. You can't just sell somebody else's music or just take it. There are certain things you need to do, and this person makes this much money. And that's been, that's followed all of the tech advancements. We have yet to have anything codified. The streaming rate is different per platform. Yeah, I mean, we need laws, baby. We need big guns. We need something that we can point to and be like, this is illegal. What you're doing is illegal. And the fact that there are people who are recognizing the actual labor rights issues, it makes me feel legitimate in my job. And doing music isn't just a privilege, It's a job that I do. It's a service that I provide. And it's something I've put my whole life into.
Julianna's right that any solutions are way beyond the consumer. In order for lesser-known musicians to be able to make a living off their recordings, we need legislation. UMA has helped create that legislation, the Living Wage for Musicians Act. It was introduced in Congress last year. It aims to get artists a minimum of 1 cent per stream by adding a new 10% tax on streaming service providers and capping royalties for artists at 1 million streams per month. So some of the superstars would give up some of their income for everyone else. Also, it would increase the price of a streaming subscription by about 50%. So our Spotify monthly payment might go from $12 to $18. But it'd mean that Julianna's monthly income from streaming, for example, could go from $300 a month to $1,000. But beyond legislation, there are things that we, as listeners, can consciously change about our listening habits to better support artists and just deepen our own connection to the music we're listening to. Liz Pelly says buying physical and digital media and building your own music library helps. Or she suggests starting listening clubs, kind of like a book club, but for albums. And of course, there's speaking out about the facts. This is a democracy, after all. And when people hear how much streaming really pays, it can strike a chord. So remember those passersby we talked to at the start of this episode? When producer Anthony revealed the real answer, how much an artist actually makes from a song with 5 million streams, people were pretty shocked.
It's about 15,000.
Oh,
that's not.
that's really
5 million plays.
Yeah.
My God, I never knew that.
Yeah.
15,000?
Damn, that's crazy.
That's it?
Oh my God, that's low.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
That's hella low.
Are you serious? That's terrible. I was way off. If you're beginning a career to be an artist, you'd have to have 2 jobs, 3 jobs to make a living.
This year, Julianna will release her 3rd studio album. To make it, she turned to GoFundMe. With the help of her wife, who shared the link shamelessly with everyone they've ever known, Julianna was able to crowdfund $30,000. This time, she was able to hire musicians. They recorded everything in 8 days. How will it do on Spotify? is anybody's guess. If Julianna and UMA, the union, are successful in securing better pay from streaming, luck will play less of a role in her ability to get by financially. But for now, even with the way the system is, she remains devoted to making music and sharing it with us.
Dreamer, dreamer, half believer, goes to service for the choir.
She brought her guitar to the studio and played the title track on her new album, Dreamer, Dreamer.
Text while driving in her car.
So yeah, taking stock, I'm going to be 30. This is my third commercially available full-length record. I'm in the career zone. Like, I do want something to change with this record. In the moving towards I feel like I can do this for a bit longer. I just need every record to feel like I can do this a bit longer.
Do you think of yourself as a dreamer?
Big time. Look at me. I'm surviving on a penny a day, and somehow I'm thriving.
Dreamer, dreamer, half believer, goes to service for the choir. Eats a bagel from the table and texts while driving in her car. Dreamer, dreamer, carpet cleaner.
A special thank you to Julianna Zachariou and Liz Pelly for their help with this episode. You can find videos and more songs from Julianna's in-studio performance at our website, kpbs.org/thefinest. The Finest is a production of KPBS Public Media. I'm your host, Julia Dixon Evans. Our producer is Anthony Wallace, who also composed the score. Our audio engineer is Ben Redlosk, and our editor is Chrissy Wynn.
San Diego County is known for being one of America's most expensive regions. KPBS's new series, Price of San Diego, explores the real cost of living, from rising grocery prices to car insurance premiums. Follow our series at kpbs.org/Price of San Diego.